We all wear multiple hats, a different hat for every job. At WakeTech, we have multiple hats too, from welding to construction management to baking to public safety. WakeTech can help you determine which hat fits you best. Visit WakeTech online or in person and try one on for size. Explore WakeTech today.
Welcome to the We Are WakeTech podcast with your host, WakeTech President, Dr. Scott Ralls.
Hi, I'm Scott Ralls, your host for the We Are WakeTech podcast. Today, we're fortunate to have the dynamic duo of entrepreneurship and small business at WakeTech, Katie Gailes and Cherith Roberson, to share with us what's happening with StartUp at WakeTech. Our guests today for the We Are WakeTech podcast are Katie Gailes and Cherith Roberson, the WakeTech dynamic duo for small business assistance and entrepreneurship. Thrilled to have you guys with us. You do such a wonderful job in our community and our college. So thanks for joining us today on our podcast, Cherith and Katie.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you for having us.
As we jump in, before we start talking about the vital role that small business plays in our community and your vital role in helping small businesses get started and grow, let's talk a little bit about the two of you. Tell me, maybe Katie, start a little bit, tell us a little bit about your background in entrepreneurship and how you came to WakeTech, and then we'll transition over to Cherith.
Okay. Well, I've been at WakeTech about 6 years. I actually started my relationship with WakeTech as a presenter in the Small Business Center, and then I went on to do some consulting work. In the process of doing that consulting work, I had a chance to re-envision the WakeTech Wells Fargo Center for Entrepreneurship, and when I did that, I had a chance to come in and operate it. So I've always focused on small businesses. I had a consulting practice around small business, and even when I was with IBM, I worked primarily in the small business arena. So this has been my life.
Great. Well, we're fortunate to have you. And Cherith, tell us your path to WakeTech and to this unique role at WakeTech.
Yes, so I've been here at WakeTech for 4 years now. Actually, my 4-year anniversary is coming up in just a few days. Prior to coming to WakeTech, I had actually started my own business connecting farmers and food makers to help them better navigate sourcing food locally. And my business started to morph as I realized that the market, as many of our clients do, I realized the market wasn't quite ready for the business I wanted to create. And so I merged over to doing mainly consulting for farmers and food makers. And I was looking for resources for one of my clients and happened to stumble across the open position here at WakeTech. And when I read the job description, I said, this was written for me, and I applied, and I've been here since. So it's been a really fun ride. Prior to that, I worked at UNC in program management. I am a college graduate of the Poole College of Management at NC State, and actually an entrepreneurship major. I'm married to a serial entrepreneur, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so you can kind of say small business has been in my blood for a long time.
Well, and too, we want to give you a special shout out because this year you brought some great honor to WakeTech, and your role was recognized statewide as you were recipient of the Director's Award, I believe, for the Small Business Center Network. Cherith takes the lead in all of our small business center work in counseling and assisting small businesses in that regard. And Katie's our director of entrepreneurship, but congratulations on that. And I know it was just a little while ago, it seems, that you won an award for the new small business center director and then turned around and then won the state award. So you're setting the small business world on fire here. What's next? I don't know. What do you do after that as an encore? But
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing. And together, as I mentioned, you two are the dynamic duo. And I've always said, I love the way you work together and you make big things happen collectively across our county for big things for small business. And at WakeTech, WakeTech uniquely puts resource into our small business assistance. All the community colleges across North Carolina have small business centers that provide free courses for small businesses or potential entrepreneurs, free counseling and other forms of assistance. WakeTech kind of doubles down a little bit on that and has we have both our Small Business Center Director and our Small Business Center efforts that you'll find at all community colleges, but also our entrepreneurship, and Katie and our Director of Entrepreneurship and our launch programs and other things. So we're going to talk about how those tie together, but collectively they make quite a gumbo, if you will, of small business assistance that occurs through Wake Tech, thanks to the leadership of the two of you. And you've kind of rebranded that as let me make sure I get this right, a startup center, the startup at Wake Tech. So let me say that I fumbled. Startup at Wake Tech is the collective of all the different efforts and initiatives, so folks can find all those things here at Wake Tech. So talk a little bit about Startup at Wake Tech and that collective opportunity that exists in our community.
So, well, first of all, let me just say that when Cherith joined Wake Tech, I found in her a kindred spirit, a big picture thinker, and very quickly we realized that we could close the loop on small business and entrepreneurship support in Wake County by really plugging into each other like Legos. And that's what we've done. So the Startup at Wake Tech is the organizational recognition that we work very closely together, so we all will now exist under that one umbrella.
Cherith, same story?
Yeah, I mean, when Katie and I really started putting our heads together and saying, how can we work really work better together to really help small business owners understand what we do, we were already doing the internal processes to support small business owners, but we were missing a link on the external side for them to understand how we supported them. So Startup is really a reflection of all of the work we're already doing that supports small business owners so they can better navigate those resources and take advantage of them.
And can find them on our website, right? Can you give the website address now so we don't forget that later?
Sure, it's startup.waketech.edu. So it's really simple, really easy.
So if you're looking to start a business, maintain a small business, thinking about a small business, there's no better place to go in Wake County than Startup. Say it again, Cherith, so I don't fumble it here.
Startup.waketech.edu.
There you go. Now, let's break down Startup just a little bit, because it does consist of our traditional the Small Business Center activities that Cherith, that you oversee, and then Katie will talk a little bit about launch and the launch initiatives throughout our community in just a second. So maybe Cherith, go first and talk a little bit about the various forms of small business assistance that are available through the Small Business Center network at community colleges, but through the Startup at Wake Tech effort here.
Sure. So you already talked about how we're part of the Small Business Center network of North Carolina. All 58 community colleges have a small business center. And I like to tell people we're funded by your tax dollars. So we're a free resource, or we're a resource that you pay for every time you pay your taxes. We exist to help people start and grow your business. And our goal is really focused on that. We offer free confidential one-on-one business counseling. And I think we do an excellent job of helping guide people through the process of thinking about how they're going to start their business all the way up until they're in business and they're trying to navigate the next challenge or the next question, the next growth opportunity, or the next, they've had to manage a lot of unusual challenges through the pandemic. So our counselors work at their pace. We work as often as it's helpful for them. So sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's once a quarter. If we're in the middle of working on a business plan or a loan with them, then maybe it's once a week. Our goal is to help them go from idea to wherever they want to be in their business. And we're there to help guide them, connect them to other resources, and make sure that they have the missing dot so that they're successful in that step that they take. So that's a big part of our focus. The other big part of our focus that you mentioned was we offer free workshops. They're usually 1 to 2 hours in length, and they cover everything from how to write a business plan to the basics of bookkeeping. We have more in-depth sessions. Like I just wrapped up a pre-launch series, which was 3 2-hour classes where we really walked entrepreneurs and want to be business owners through what they need to think about to start a business, so that when they're then ready to start, they can go to the launch programs through Katie and really take their business to the next level. So our goal is that they have a good, strong foundation whether they're just in the idea phase or now I'm trying to integrate SEO or I'm trying to integrate social media. Really, SEO, search engine optimization. See, that's one of the things that we run into as counselors. We start throwing out that speak and our clients say, what are you talking about? So whether they want to integrate that search engine optimization or social media marketing or understand what their cash flow means for their business, we really want to help plug those gaps and build the foundation with our workshops. So those are our two primary areas of focus for the Small Business Center.
And Katie, a unique element of WakeTech's offerings and connections in our community through our different municipalities, our chambers, has been the launch programs, and they've developed and keep growing. And you're kind of the launcher of launch, it seems like. Talk a little bit about the launch of launch, but what launch is in Wake County and what that opportunity means for the potential entrepreneurs in our communities.
Great. So Launch Wake County really started planning in 2016, and we started with Launch Raleigh on the campus of Shaw University in January of 2017. And since then, we have expanded to 9 towns in Wake County. And I have to list them in alphabetical order so I don't forget anybody. We have Launch Apex, Launch Cary, Launch Garner, Launch Holly Springs, Launch Knightdale, Launch Roseville, Launch Raleigh, Launch Wake Forest, and Launch Wendell. I got them all.
Impressive.
And the real secret sauce behind the launch program is the community volunteers. We have groups of people in every town who really do the heavy lifting and the feet on the street for this program. And those partnerships in each town typically includes the town manager or mayor, economic development in the town, the Chamber of Commerce, the local Rotary Club, and other volunteers and businesses who want to help grow small businesses in their town. We have 86 people going through launch programs this fall in 5 different towns, and that will bring our community up to about 511 all total small business owners and entrepreneurs that have gone through launch. They've completed 10 weeks or 30 hours of training and between 40 and 80 hours of homework. We're going to assign them a mentor for 6 months. They get help with networking and help finding money. And then we send them back to the Small Business Center for the ongoing nurturing of their business and the ongoing training. So that's the closed loop that I was talking about. We also have, under Entrepreneurship Initiatives, an internal program called LaunchWakeTech that's more student focused. And in LaunchWakeTech, we are infusing entrepreneurship training into our barber school, our natural hair program, our bilingual or Spanish language cosmetology program, our English language cosmetology program, our English as a second language program, and we have a practicum with the graphic design department to offer free branding services on a competitive basis to Launch Wake County graduates. And we're in the process of starting a student entrepreneurship club in collaboration with Shaw and St. Augustine's universities.
Well, and let's tease that just a little bit. We won't do the announcement right now because after we turn to a new year, next
Okay.
we're going to do an announcement that's a very significant donation that an individual's made to Wake Tech that's going to allow us to do even more for student entrepreneurship in that. Can you just tease that a little bit so our listeners can know what to look out for? Because this is going to be one of the most exciting donations of support and focused on entrepreneurship for students. Can you tease it just a little bit?
So, Cherith, just real quickly, do you want to talk about the Rally Fund, how we started with the Rally Fund during the pandemic? Because I think that's a really good message, the amount of money that we've given out in the Rally Fund, and then how, we're going to be in a position next year to do even more. How about that?
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, small businesses really were hit so hard when they had to close their doors, whether or not they were directly facing consumers. Almost every single business was negatively affected. And we pretty quickly went into how do we support mode. We never slowed down. In fact, if anything, we put our all of our gear on and just kind of ran out ran out and got into help mode for the small businesses that we serve. And so one of the opportunities that we had was that there were funds available through the city of Raleigh. And Katie, you're going to have to help me remember where Wake Tech matched those funds. We also got
$50,000 from Wells Fargo. So we had a total of $160,000 to use during the pandemic to help small businesses.
And so we put our heads together and said, how do we continue to support small businesses even after this first initial rush from the pandemic? And we were able to continue that in a couple of different ways. One of them being that the Small Business Center received some CARES Act funds that allowed us to pair our clients with subject matter experts to help them navigate through some things that they wouldn't typically be able to get as much help with the subject matter experts. And we found out that we might have this opportunity to really take it to the next level with some ongoing support through Wake Tech. And so we said, how can we do this in a really sustainable way? And we're really excited about what we think will be a great program to support those small business owners as we kick it off in January of 2022.
And a little bit, we're going to be able to support more our own student entrepreneurs and even some with our partners with our 2 local HBCUs. So can you tease that just a little bit? We'll come out with a little bigger announcement. People hang on for a few months to provide more information. But Katie, give them a tease about what could be coming with that.
So what we look forward to announcing sometime in January is a program that has both a community entrepreneur track and a student entrepreneur track. And those students will come from Wake Tech and Shaw University and St. Augustine's University. And we're going to help them take their business to the next level. Of course, it'll be competitive. And we want to focus on the low resourced entrepreneurs. But through a process of preparation and work, they'll have to earn their way in. We hope to be able to put some money into the hands of some more small businesses, some money they don't have to pay back. And I just want to mention something that's pretty unique about the businesses that Cherith and I work with primarily. We primarily work with what I call itty bitty Main Street businesses. That's a technical term. We're non-information technology, non-biotechnology, life science businesses. The businesses that actually make our communities work and the businesses that everybody missed during the pandemic. The coffee shop, the cafe, the boutique, the photographer, the daycare center, all of our retail outlets. Those are the businesses that we work with. And that's one of the things that makes our programs unique.
When you said non-IT, non-biotech, doesn't mean we're anti-IT or anti. We do a lot of that with the college, but that's where a lot of the university entrepreneurship programs and others in the community. Yes. But we are in our small business and entrepreneurship efforts. We're Main Street mom and pops is our focus and our niche. And you all have, in that community spirit. I think we like to say that Wake Tech, we are our community's college, and nobody's exhibited that more than you have throughout the pandemic, throughout, just in terms of the launch of the launch programs. We're the engine in many of those programs, and you'll find those areas, but that's where Wake Tech really shows its colors as our community's college. And one thing too, talk, if you can, you've done some interesting things around pop-ups during this time frame, and that's an opportunity even more towards the future. And I think that's a unique way in which we've partnered with the community. So can you tell us what's a pop-up and how has the startup efforts been engaged in those pop-ups?
Before we talk about pop-ups, I did want to circle back to the IT and biotech. And one of the great things about the community that we live in is that there are a large breadth of organizations who are supporting small businesses. So even if we have a small business owner who wants to start a business in technology or biotech or another area, if we don't have that expertise or even the on-site guidance to help them, we have awesome referral partners who we know can guide them through that. So we lean on our partners heavily when it comes to supporting those businesses and making sure that they're getting the same support that everyone else gets who walks through our door. For
Before
pop-up,
you go to pop-up, let's emphasize that, because I think that's a unique thing in our community, is the collaboration, and you guys are ultimate collaborators with what is a dynamic small business assistance community. So whether it's the small business development centers that exist at NC State and at the universities, which focus a little more on the growing those existing small business, those kind of gazelle small business in the tech areas, or Innovate Raleigh. And so you all are unique collaborators, but take the lead with the main streets, the mom and pops.
Yes, I will tell you that we Cherith and I got together one time and we counted the number of organizations that we collaborate with. Every chamber, every town, almost every other entrepreneurial support organization in the area, and we had more than 80. Collaboration is more valuable than money sometimes, because you can join forces and get some things done that you can't do individually.
And the pop-ups kind of relate to retail opportunities in our towns. And so, can you tell us? Let's get back to pop-ups and
So pop-ups have been a trend across the United States now for a few years, and pop-ups can look in a couple of different ways. Pop-ups can happen at farmers markets. They can happen in more permanent retail shop locations where someone may be trying to figure out whether or not it would be a good fit for them to be in a spot more long-term. And in the fall of 2019, before the pandemic hit, we started a relationship with the Downtown Raleigh Alliance to figure out how to better support pop-ups in downtown Raleigh. And so we had a round of a couple of entrepreneurs who went into a space in downtown Raleigh in a pop-up location on East Martin Street. And they were able to be in that spot through the holidays. And then the pandemic hit right towards the end of their lease. So we had a pause there. We're really excited to reinvigorate that. We're going to be working with them to get a couple of more folks into a pop-up space on East Martin Street for this fall and holiday season. So there'll be up to 4 entrepreneurs who will have the chance to sell directly to the citizens and folks in Wake County who want to support Main Street businesses. And one of the great things, one of the silver linings of the pandemic, is that now more than ever, I think our community is really aware of how vital small businesses are to the growth of our community, and we want to support them. So I see and hear a lot more talk of how we are all trying to support local in a bigger, more intentional way.
Katie, anything to add?
One of the things that I wanted to mention about our collaborations is one that Cherith has been maintaining with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for multiple years. They've been a great partner, and we do the financial fortitude with them every year. Cherith, tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we actually have one. So we partner with 2 of the alumni chapters, Western Wake and the Raleigh Alumni Chapter. And we actually have a summit happening this Saturday. So it will happen after this podcast airs, but this Saturday, where we're taking 3 hours to really dive into the beginnings of what a small business owner needs in order to be successful. And we're talking through business plans. We're talking about fundings. We're talking about what they need to put on their website. And what's really interesting about the timing of doing this is some folks may think, well, it's October, is now really a good time to start thinking about starting a new business. But North Carolina is on trend to have 185,000 new business starts in 2021. And we had 127 new business starts in 2020 versus 100,000 in 2019. And so the amount of new business starts during a pandemic, we're 85,000 more than we had 2 years ago. It's really incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we think it's great timing.
You made a point, our small businesses, they mean so much in terms of our economic vitality. You don't hear about a small business starting as much because the numbers are small, but cumulative, they're absolutely vital to our communities. But they're what give our communities that flavor that we all look for. It's that walking up and down the street and seeing something that you won't see in another community because it is localized here, and so we really cherish those things about our small businesses. Now, one other initiative I'd like for you to talk about that's, I think, unique related to Wake Tech and what Wake Tech is growing. So Wake Tech is, we're thanks to the citizens of Wake County who have voted for, bond funding for Wake Tech, and we're growing in new buildings that we're opening on a regular basis, new workforce facilities, which mean new opportunities for small businesses and contractors in our community. And you've partnered with Wake Tech in the facilities areas to help bring those opportunities broadly. Can you tell us a little bit about the Contractors Academy and what that is and how you've partnered?
Well, and the cool thing about Contractors Academy, Katie, is I think it really stems from your partnership with the Hub office 2, 3, 4 years ago. So Katie started partnering with the Hub office to help make sure that small business owners who are eligible for Hub certification knew how to walk through that successfully. And out of that, the relationship with our Wake Tech Hub coordinator, Carla Daniels, was born. And so Carla, when she came on board at Wake Tech, already knew Katie well. And then you two put your heads together. I think that's initially how the Contractors Academy, the idea for it, was started.
Yes.
Tell us about, Katie, before you kind of tell us what Contractors Academy is and how that's evolved, tell us for our listeners what Hub means, because they may not know.
Thanks for catching us on that. It means historically underutilized businesses. And the state has a whole department aimed at creating a pool of historically minority and women-owned businesses who are able to deliver services across industries. And they take them through a certification process to validate that they really are minority and woman-owned.
And what happens with the Contractors Academy now? What opportunity does that provide?
It's focused on helping Hub certified vendors and others learn how to actually go get those government contracts, and as a small business owner, go get those corporate contracts. Lots of times small business owners get stuck not knowing how, once they got their certifications, not knowing how to actually pursue the business. So we take them through the process of teaching them how to actually pursue the business and make some money.
Now, before we close, I want to mention 2 other collaborations that are small business related or entrepreneurship related on our campuses. One, we are a host for the North Carolina Military Business Center, which is physically located at our RTP campus, that provides help to North Carolina businesses, particularly targeting those in our region for this particular office who are trying to attain governmental contracts broadly that are military contracts. We're a big military state, but not often enough have North Carolinians gained some of those contract opportunities. So that's available through the North Carolina Military Business Center. And one other thing I'll mention is we're also proud to be the host for the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship, NACE, which is physically located at Wake Tech at our Western campus where Cherith and Katie are located. So not only do we have these state or these local resources in Katie and Cherith, but we're proud to be the home for the physical home for the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship and those great folks. Now we got to close here. We could talk small business all day. Katie, I can see you want to say something. So
yeah, I just wanted to add one other thing, that we're about to enter our third annual Wake Tech Contractors Academy. And also last year, we realized that we started partnering with our barber school and cosmetology department to offer an annual event called the Barber and Cosmetology Business Summit. And that's to help people in those professions really tone up their business management skills so that they could be successful in their business and still be able to retire in 35 years.
Great. Things to look out for in the next few months. And Cherith, you look like you have a few things we should look out for.
Well, I just want to share one of the things that people always ask me after they've heard what we do. They might even feel a little overwhelmed and say, well, where should I start? And what I usually tell our clients and our small business owners is that they should start with a confidential one-on-one counseling session. And the reason I say that is Well, every business foundation usually has kind of the same bricks of you need to know these things in order to be successful. When you can talk one-on-one with a counselor, you can put a personal plan in place to help move forward in a way that works for you and your business. So I usually encourage people to start there, and they can go directly to our website, startup.waketech.edu, and click on the free business help button, and it'll take you step by step right through our very simple process. You can request a counseling session and book with a counselor all in under 10 minutes to go ahead and get that help started. So that's where I tell folks to get to start.
Great. Good advice. You all both are full of great advice, and that's what makes you wonderful for Wake Tech. Before we close, I'd like to ask each of you, the challenge with this, there's so many great stories in the small business support network, and what through your collective work that's happened in our community. But can you, we're not trying to pick favorites, we're not trying to pick one, but just each of you maybe pick one great small business example, startup example that received some assistance through Wake Tech and are thriving here in Wake County now. So who wants to go first?
Oh, gee, I'm racking my brain to pick the right one.
Can I share two?
Sure.
Very quickly? Okay.
Out the one you don't want.
Well, so I'll share, Katie, why don't you share Dimitri's story, and I'll share one that I'm working on right now.
Okay. So Dimitri Rayner has a landscaping business that he actually started with just a single lawnmower. He went through the Launch Raleigh, started off as a small business center client, I believe, got referred to the Launch Raleigh program, went through the 10 weeks there, and started growing his business, and actually had contracts valued at several $1,000s a month pre-pandemic. He went through our Wake Tech Contractors Academy to fine-tune his ability to get the business. Then, of course, the pandemic came. He was able to pivot and keep his business afloat. And recently, someone broke into his storage room, and stole a lot of his equipment. But he came back to the Small Business Center for help. We helped him put together a GoFundMe page, and we're in the process of helping him to recoup some of that equipment that he lost. So he started with the Small Business Center, ends with the Small Business Center, which is what we tell people. That's how we close the loop.
That's a great story, closing the loop through the various resources. Great story about Demetrius. And Cherith, you got one you're working on right now?
Got one I'm working on. I believe that she's going to be a big national success story, and this client is really exciting because she's actually in the process of working on a big grant with a local foundation that would allow her business really to go to the next level. So her name is Catherine Dunn. She's the founder of the Nurtured Nest, and she is a small business that creates on-demand classes for parents to be able to access information that's reliable, timely, and helpful, and not have to wade through the 50 Instagram influencers to figure out which one is providing the best information for them and their family. So she's in the process of growing her business. We have supported her through counseling and workshops at the Small Business Center for the past, I think almost since she launched. So we started working with her right at her launch, right before in the fall of 2019. And I've watched her business grow. And now she's at this tipping point where in the next, I think, 18 months, a lot of people are going to know who her business is and what she does. And so it's really it's such an honor to be able to walk through that journey with a small business owner and watch them reach their customers and solve a real need in their community. It's just so much fun.
Well, that's exciting.
Can we get one more? Just
all
one
right,
more.
put out there.
Just one more. So I have to talk about Jewel Milliken, who started here again as a Small Business Center client. She's a licensed cosmetologist, was doing very well with her business, but she wanted to open up salon suites for estheticians. So Cherith referred her to the Launch program. She went through the Launch program, developed a business plan in the Launch program for her suites, worked with her mentor, continued to stay in touch with the Small Business Center. She got a Raleigh Fund Award during the pandemic to help her stay afloat. And in December of 2020, she opened her salon suites. Oh, by the way, she also went through the Wake Tech graphic design practicum to get her logo and everything designed for her business.
And she sits on the board for cosmetology at Wake Tech.
Yes. So she opened up her business, and when I went to her grand opening, there were the students who worked on her graphic design logo. Right there, she had hired them to continue to work with her in her business. So, and she's about to open her second location.
And her goal is to bring in some of the graduates of our cosmetology program to be able to be have their own spaces within her second space
Yes.
that she's opening. So it's really cool to watch her journey in that closed loop.
Right. And she stays in touch with Cherith and with me, so we keep the loop closed for her.
Closing the loop.
Yeah.
Those are exciting stories. You guys are great. Now I've got to cut you off because I know you're going to get frustrated because you're going to remember some of
We got about
10
4.
stories, and we could be doing this at till 5 o'clock this afternoon. But we got to keep the podcast a little short for our listeners here. You guys are doing so much. We'll have to come back with Startup Part 2 later at some point because you have so much that's going on. We're so thankful for who you are, what you mean to our college, what you mean to our community, and your collective impact through Startup at Wake Tech. So thank you so much, Katie Gailes, Cherith Roberson, for who you are and what you do and being part of Wake Tech and having so much impact on our community. And as you pointed out, for those folks who are out there listening right now to the We Are Wake Tech podcast and are asking the question, how do I get started in a startup opportunity? It's startup.waketech.edu, startup.waketech.edu. That's the place to go to start an entrepreneurial endeavor in Wake County.
I'm Lori Clowers, and here's your Wake Tech News Update. As you're considering college options for next year, there are lots of ways to explore Wake Tech, from campus tours to virtual information sessions to online program presentations. It's all there at explore.waketech.edu, and we can't wait to see you. The enrollment cycle is underway for high school students who want to earn college credit tuition-free through the Career and College Promise program. Visit ccp.waketech.edu for information on how to enroll. Wake Tech accounting students have a new opportunity to continue their education. A new articulation agreement allows them to transfer to NC Central University's School of Business to pursue a bachelor's degree. To learn more, visit transfer.waketech.edu. Wake Tech has announced this year's Scott Scholars. Anya Izquierdo and Mario Vaccarelli will each receive up to $3,500 for tuition fees and books, along with a laptop, a summer internship placement, and a senior leadership mentor. The Scott Scholars program is the college's most prestigious honor. A new Rally Mark has been announced. Rally Marks are milestones achieved in Wake Tech's 4-year Reach and Rally strategic plan. The latest Rally Mark is Career Ladders, groupings of occupations and industries to help students refine their career goals. And finally, Wake Tech fall sports are in full swing. From soccer to volleyball to esports, Wake Tech student athletes are giving it their all. Keep up on all the action at waketechsports.com. And that's your Wake Tech News Update.
I'm Sloan Heffernan, founder of StoryMore. We help businesses clarify their brand message and bring their brand story to life by creating click-worthy content. I'm also an advisory board member on StartUp at Wake Tech. Your story is unique and can help your business grow. There may be other people in the marketplace doing exactly what you're doing, but no one shares your unique story. It's what sets you apart. Today I want to dig into my storytelling toolbox to share some tools that you can use to help share your brand story. Number one, keep it simple. Pick one clear message and focus on nothing else. The impact is diluted when you go too broad with your message. Number two, aim for the heart. We connect on an emotional level and we remember things that have an emotional impact on us. Number three, Use powerful visuals to share your story. Look for compelling pictures and attention-grabbing video that will help capture someone's attention and retain it. Number 4, let the character lead. Every good story has a great lead character. Go deep on that one story and use that character to help tell your brand story. Number 5, have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Have a hook at the beginning. Maybe it is a powerful visual or a strong soundbite in a video. Have a middle that identifies what problem your audience might be having, and then what is the solution? Identify that solution and how you're going to solve that problem for your desired audience. And then have that strong ending. You also want to have a memorable message. Be very clear on the message that you're trying to share with your audience. And last but certainly not least, do not forget the call for action. Don't be afraid to tell your audience what you want them to do next. Suggest to them that they register today, that they call now, that they subscribe to your newsletter. And on that note, if you need help with brand storytelling, reach out. We're at story-more.com. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Wake Tech podcast. Join us next month for more insightful conversations about the programs and people of Wake Tech and how the college changes lives every day. Be sure to subscribe to your favorite podcast app to have each episode delivered right to your computer or mobile device. For more, find us at podcast.waketech.edu. To learn more about Wake Tech's exceptional educational opportunities, visit waketech.edu.